יתפרדו כל פעלי אבן. ותרם קירם קרני, ולא תיבשם רענן, ותבט עיני בשורי. וקמים עלי מרעים, תשמענה אוזני. צדיק כתמר יפרח, כארז בלבנון יזכה. שתולים בבית אדוני, וחצרות אלוהינו. יפריחו עוד ינבון בשיבה, דשנים מרעננים יהיו. להגיד כי אשר אדוני, צורי ולא עוולת בו.
Welcome. My name is Elise Barber, and I am the cantor here at Temple Bethel, and also the Director of Spiritual Life at JGS Life Care in Longmeadow. Before we begin, please take a moment to make sure your cell phone will be quiet. Even if you think you already did that, just let's take a little moment and thank you. We are gathered here today to honor and to lay to rest Howard Frank Libowitz, Hebrew name Haskell Ben Chaim Uminalea, a loving man, an important presence in this world, father, grandfather, husband, uncle, and friend. A man full of warmth, generosity, love, and devotion, who died on July 7th, 2026, the Hebrew date the 22nd of Tammuz, the Hebrew year 5786, after a rich life. We are also here to offer comfort for the family and friends who are grieving the loss of this caring and remarkable mensch. I'd like to share a poem with you. It was written by the American rabbi Chaim Stern in the 20th century, based on the work of Rabbi Yehuda Halevi, who lived in Spain in the early parts of the thousands of the Common Era. 'Tis a fearful thing to love what death can touch, a fearful thing to love, to hope, to dream, to be, and oh, to lose. A thing for fools this, and a holy thing to love. For your life has lived in me, your laugh once lifted me, your word was gift to me. To remember this brings painful joy. 'Tis a human thing, love, a holy thing to love what death has touched. At funerals, we are forced to acknowledge that nothing is given forever. We express this in traditional language through a verse from the book of Job. Adonai natan v'Adonai lakach, ki Hashem Adonai mevorach. God has given, God has taken. May the name of Adonai be blessed. We come here today to pour out our love and show honor for Howie, no matter what our religion, no matter if we have religion or not, no matter who we are all here with one purpose: to do all we can now to care for Howard, his memory, and his family. Although we can no longer embrace Howie physically, we can embrace him with our presence, with all we do here today, with how we act today. In Jewish tradition, it is taught that the spirit of the deceased still hovers close after death. With all of our actions, we do our best to respect and show devotion to Howard. At difficult times, Jews take comfort in the Psalms, and I'd like to share with you Psalm 23. Adonai roi lo echsar binot dashayar bitzeni al mei menuchot yenaleni. Nafshi yeshovev, yancheni v'magnet tzedek, ינחני ומגלה צדק למען שמו. גם כי אלך בגיא צל מוות לא אירא רע, כי אתה עמדי. שבטך ומשענתך המה ינחמוני. תערוך לפני שולחן נגד צוררי. דשנת ושמן ראשי כוסי רוויה. אך טוב וחסד ידפוני כל ימי חיי, כל ימי חיי. ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים. אדוני רואי לא אחסר, אדוני רואי לא אחסר. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me to lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside the still waters. He restores my soul. He guides me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou prepare a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil. My cup runs over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. So I would like to invite Kara up to speak and share some words about her father.
My dad and I shared a connection that was difficult to put into words. As the only daughter, I always knew I had a special place in his heart, and he certainly had one in mine. We just understood each other. Whether I was 5 years old or 53, I never doubted that Dad was looking out for me. Looking back now, I realize that connection shaped so many of the memories. That bond showed up in so many little ways. When I was little, I remember going to work with him on Saturdays. While Dad worked, I would raid the boxes of sample labels in the back room, proudly bring them home, sticking those labels all over the door of my bedroom. Dad really never complained, but Mom sure did when it was time to sell the house and had to scrape each one of them off the door. From the very beginning, both of my parents wanted what was best for Scott and me. They aimed to give us opportunities they may not have had themselves. As a parent now, I understand that this took sacrifices. Now let's be honest, we all knew Howie, and cost was always a part of the equation. But in the end, the final decision relied on what would make us thrive. Dad also believed in carrying on family traditions. When Scott graduated from college, my paternal grandfather, Herman, bought Scott a new car. Grandpa passed away this summer before I graduated college, so Dad made sure that tradition continued with me. Of course, I couldn't make it easy. I insisted that my graduation car had to be a stick shift, even though I had absolutely no idea how to drive one. Most parents probably would have said, absolutely not. Not Dad. He drove my new car off the lot at the Ford dealership in Enfield. When we got back to Pinewood Drive, I asked him to pull over. I climbed into the driver's seat, and our lessons began. I was determined to learn. For hours, I practiced on that driveway, pulling forward, backing up, stalling more times than I care to admit, and mastering three-point turns. He believed in me until I believed in myself. That was my dad. From the time my girls were little, my dad always made sure they had new shoes. It was something he picked up from his own mother, who used to buy me and Scott shoes. Every school year, he'd ask, "Do the girls need anything? Did they get new shoes yet?" That was his language of love. I'm sure many of you here have gone out to dinner with my dad and tried to pay the bill. Please understand, the scene he made in the restaurant, insisting on paying, was only because he loved you. He had a saying, "You have to work hard to play hard," and he absolutely lived by it. Dad taught me the value of hard work from the time I was old enough to have a job. I spent a few summers working at Springfield Label, winding labels and packing boxes in the plant. Now, I wasn't just handed the job because I was family. Before I could work at the plant, Dad made me call my grandfather Herman and ask if I could have a summer job. It wasn't always easy to make that phone call, but that was the lesson. If you wanted an opportunity, you asked for it, you earned it. At the time, I probably didn't appreciate those long days, but looking back, I realized he wasn't just giving me a summer job. He was teaching me responsibility, accountability, and pride in a hard day's work. That work ethic has stayed with me through my life, and it's something I've been proud to pass on to my own girls. Dad was passionate about work, and if I told him that I was taking a vacation day, he'd ask, "What do you mean? Is your job okay with that?" As if using a vacation day was somehow breaking company policy. Even near the end of his life, one of the biggest concerns was making sure my daughter Sydney, who just graduated from college, had a job. Job market's not great now, but Dad, don't worry, she'll get one. My dad worked hard, but he also knew how to enjoy life. We all have memories of him laughing, celebrating with family, hanging out on the street with neighbors, and yes, even doing keg stands at graduation parties. For so many years, I just want to make sure I didn't skip a page. I don't think I did. It's so long. Okay. For so many years, Dad was the one making sure I was okay. Then, without either of us really realizing it, I became the one trying to make sure he was okay. Looking back now, I realize that connection never changed. It simply changed shape. Our family joked that I was the dad whisperer. If he was anxious, somehow I could calm him. If he was upset, I could talk him through it. We just seemed to understand each other in a way that words really can't explain. During the last several years, as this awful disease slowly took pieces of him away, we talked almost every single day. His conversations always started the same way. How are the girls? How's work? Are they busy over there? Even as his dementia changed so much, his love for his family never changed. Over the last couple of summers, we were so fortunate to have him stay with us for a week. Those visits gave us memories I'll treasure forever. My girls introduced him to the music of Chaperone. We had barbecues, we went clothing shopping, one of his favorite hobbies. And of course, we ate plenty of ice cream. Then came the hardest months. Somehow I discovered the secret to calming him, a vanilla milkshake. Almost every day I visited, I'd walk through the doors with one in my hand. For a little while, everything felt okay. Looking back now, I realized those milkshakes were never really about the ice cream. They were about love. Finding peace for Dad became my mission. He always taught me that when life got hard, you stayed positive. No matter what challenge he was facing, he would say, "You just do what you have to do and it will all work out." Those words are ingrained in me. He gave me that optimism. He taught me to believe in the things that things happen for a reason, but that you also have to keep showing up. You have to keep trying and never stop fighting for the people you love. When Dad moved to Libowitz, the memory care facility in June, We met some of the kindest, most knowledgeable, and most compassionate people. This was a very challenging time for him. Scott and I wanted to do everything we could to help him feel safe, so we arranged for companion aides to spend time with him when we couldn't. One aide in particular, Petunia, became his person. There was a very special connection between them. She had a way of making him feel calm, safe, and understood. In a time when so much of his world felt unfamiliar, Petunia became someone he trusted completely. He would say to her, "You're my guy." As his daughter, there's no greater gift than knowing someone made your dad feel safe when you couldn't always be there. For that, our family will always be grateful to Petunia. Dementia leaves families with so many unknowns. We questioned every decision. We didn't know what would help Dad, what tomorrow would look like, or whether we were doing the right thing. But when he moved to Livewell, the staff gave us confidence that he was safe, cared for, and loved. They gave us a peace of mind during the hardest time of our lives. When Dad came out of his first episode of delirium at Livewell, he looked around and said to me, "This place is beautiful." Then he leaned over and whispered to me, "I think I get a discount here." I leaned into him, smiled, and said, "You are so lucky. How do I get one?" Another evening, after he'd already had his vanilla milkshake and dinner in that order, I offered him a piece of lemon meringue pie. He looked at me and said, "No, just wrap it up and I'll bring it up to the room. I'll put it in the refrigerator." I think he truly believed he was staying in a hotel. Even in the midst of such a cruel disease, he still found ways to make us laugh. The last week of his life, even the vanilla milkshake couldn't do what it always had done. Watching him struggle was the hardest thing our family has ever experienced. But through it all, one thing never changed. He was surrounded by love. Dad, thank you for teaching us the value of hard work. Thank you for teaching us to be kind, humble, and generous. Thank you for always making sure everyone else had what they needed, even if it was just a new pair of shoes. Thank you for believing in me, for believing in my girls and Scott's girls, and for showing us what unconditional love looks like. You always told me it will work out. Today, that's what I'm holding on to. We'll miss your phone calls asking about the girls. We'll miss our shopping trips. We'll miss your sense of humor. We'll even miss making sure you had your vanilla milkshake. Dad, thank you for spending your life taking care of me. It was the greatest honor of my life to spend your final chapter taking care of you. I will always be proud to be Howie's little girl. And Dad, don't worry. All of your girls are okay. We'll take care of each other, just like you always took care of us. We love you, and I love you.
Thank you very much for sharing about you and your dad. I'd like to share with you a song. The words were written by the late Hannah Senesh, and the music is by cantor Jeff Klepper. There are stars up above, so far away we only see their light. Long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us as we live our days. These are the ways we remember as we live our days. These are the ways we remember, we remember. יש כוכבים שאומרם מגיע ארצה, רק כאשר הם עצמם עבדו ואינם. יש אנשים שזיו זכרם מאיר, כאשר הם עצמם אינם עוד בתוכנו. אורות אלה המבהיקים בחשכת הליל, הם שמראים לאדם את הדרך, את הדרך. הם שמראים לאדם את הדרך, את הדרך. Howard Frank Libowitz was born and raised in Springfield, Massachusetts, born to Herman and Mildred. His younger brother Charles is with us today and told me, growing up, Howard enjoyed playing tennis and golf. He also liked swimming and boating, and he attended overnight camp for many summers. He was preppy, and he was in a high school fraternity at the JCC. He is still friends with buddies from his high school years. Howie met Nona when the two of them were just teenagers. He was 17 and she was 15. They got married when he was 20 and she was 18. Before they divorced in 2009, after being together for 42 years, they had 2 children, Scott and Kara. We were fortunate to get to hear Kara tell us a lot about her relationship with her father and about her dad. Howard's relationship with Scott was different. With every relationship is different. They all have their challenges and easy times, their conflicts, their times of connection. Scott started his life in Springfield, and later the family moved to Longmeadow. Scott and Kara remember growing up on Althea Drive, having regular parties and gatherings with friends in the front yard or in the garage if it was raining. While he wasn't always good at expressing his emotions to those he was close to, it was clear to Kara and Scott that their father loved them and was devoted to them. Howard was in the National Guard. Work was extremely important to Howard, and he was a major part of the family business Springfield Label and Tape Company. He was a hard worker and a strong salesman, effective and persistent without being too pushy. He was good at relating to his clients, a true people person. Howie and his brother Charles took over the company from their father Herman. I heard yesterday that Scott and Stephen were part of the company, but now I also hear that Kara was as well. His work made him well known in the community. Scott remembered once visiting a high school girlfriend's house and the girlfriend's parents saying, "Are you Howard's son?" And Scott thinking, does my father know everyone? Howard was very successful in his work. His company was the first to make labels for Yankee Candle, and Howie became friends with the owner, even going on a trip with the Yankee Candle's owner on his private plane and yacht. And a saying he was fond of, which Kara mentioned, "You gotta work hard to play hard." As an adult, Howard didn't really have hobbies. He liked patriotic music. His car radio was set to the oldies station and Boston News. He loved Law and Order, Shark Tank, and Hogan's Heroes. Charles remembers that he liked the Beatles and was excited to see them on the Ed Sullivan Show. He loved cars and liked to buy cars, and he was good at it too. Friends relied on him to help them with their purchases. He was conflict averse and would want to move on instead of hashing things out. He was giving, extremely generous, wanting to help others out as much as he could. Howard was very particular about time, striving to be early. He was also particular about how he dressed. Collar often upturned, baseball hat, preppy, sweater, sneakers. One caretaker was concerned that he wasn't dressing according to the weather, but Howard had an outfit, and it was important to him to stick to it. For the past several years, Howard has been in a relationship with Ellen, and they did a lot together, traveling, attending Jewish services and classes. Ellen's daughter-in-law was one of the first to send a condolence to Scott and Kara, and Howard was a huge part of Ellen's family, a grandfather, an important family member. He had a special connection with Ellen and her family. He spent a lot of time with her family traveling and spending holidays together. Important, exciting, formative times. Howard loved being a grandfather and didn't want to miss any part of his grandkids' lives. He loved to take Scott and Kara's kids out to dinner or to the mall. I heard Alina put makeup on him when he slept. I don't know how he dealt with that, but the grandkids would have shopping sprees with Nona, and then the grandkids would come back and do a fashion show for their granddad. And he made his grandkids laugh a lot. We heard a little bit about Howard's relationship to his aides. I heard that Howard's aides adored him, and he was pleasant and kind to them. He enjoyed spending time with his caregivers. He really appreciated those relationships. He liked going to the park or the library or the beach with his caregivers, and he planned ahead to give them gifts. He wanted to honor them and acknowledge them and show his appreciation. Judaism was important to Howard. I heard part of his life he was not a regular shul goer, more so maybe later with Ellen, and I just learned that he went every day to Minyan after I think his maternal grandmother died. Is that what maternal grandmother died? And even learned to lead services. He wanted to make sure there were other Jews around him, including when he needed to be cared for as dementia worsened. He wanted to make sure he was around other Jews. And this is an important place for him and his family. There are 4 generations who have been part of Temple Beth El, and it was important for the family to have the funeral here at the synagogue. Howard had his bar mitzvah here. He was confirmed here, and I heard his confirmation photo's still up on the wall. I haven't looked myself yet, but I look forward to finding it. Scott and Kara had their bar and bat mitzvahs here, and their weddings, the family weddings happened here. This is a very special place for Howard and his family. I couldn't help thinking of Howard and the blessings that parents traditionally give their children on Friday nights, Shabbat evening. We lay our hands on our children's heads and recite a prayer. The priestly benediction, but also, may you be like Ephraim and Manasseh, who were Joseph's sons, or for a girl, may you be like Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah. And then you wish your child peace and a connection to God and a feeling of God's peace. So the modern liturgist, Marcia Falk, she wrote these blessings a little differently. She encourages Jews instead to bless their children every Shabbat with these words: be who you are, and may you be blessed in all that you are. I'm guessing Howard didn't know about Marcia Falk, but that is how Howard blessed his children, his grandchildren, by encouraging them to embrace who they are, by helping them to feel his love and devotion, and by being present in their lives. I would like to share one more poem with you. It's called Life After Death by Laura Gilpin. The things I know, how the living go on living, and how the dead go on living with them. So that in a forest, even a dead tree casts a shadow, and the leaves fall one by one, and the branches break in the wind, and the bark peels off slowly, and the trunk cracks, and the rain seeps in through the cracks, and the trunk falls to the ground, and the moss covers it. And in the spring, the rabbits find it, and build their nest inside, and have their young. And their young will live safely inside the dead tree, so that nothing is wasted in nature or in love. When Jews, I'm sorry, there'll be time for that after the service. We can do that after the service at Shiva, okay? When Jews lose a loved one, a traditional Hebrew phrase is used to invoke how we hope the memory of a departed person will persist in our lives. We say, Yehei nishmato tzurura b'tzurur hachayim. Literally, may his soul be bound up in the bonds of life. But we can translate it a little differently. May you carry the spirit of Howard Haskell ben Chaim Uminalea, his smile, his gracious presence, forward in your own lives, making evident that divine spark he shared so clearly in the world. I know there is Shiva today at 5 p.m. and then also again Sunday at 7, and then the Shiva will continue in Simsbury, Connecticut. I invite you, please, if you are able to rise, and if not, rise in body or spirit, as we recite the El Male prayer. El Male Rachamim Shochein Bavromi Hamitzei Menucha Nuchuna Tachat Kanfei Ashchina B'emalut Kadoshim Utorim Kezohar Arakim Mazirim Et Nishmat Haskell ben Chaim Uminalea She'alach Le'olam Began Eden Temenuchato Anah Melalachamim Hasireu Basatar Knafecha Le'olamim Utror Bitror Chaim Hanishmoto Adonai Unachalato Ve'anuach B'Shalom Al Mishkovu V'nomar Amen. El Malei Rachamim, exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest and your sheltering presence among the holy and pure to the soul of Howard, who is gone to his eternal home. Merciful One, we ask that he find perfect peace in your eternal embrace in the shelter of your wings. May his soul be bound up in the bond of life. May he rest in peace. And let us say, Amen.